Hi, everyone. So, we've got a lot going on with the weather, and I'm doing a quick update right now. This is going to be my only update on this system because I'm getting married this weekend and pretty busy. I am at my parents' house right now getting things ready. Really excited, but let's talk about the threat for both winter weather and severe weather. This is actually a pretty big deal, a pretty powerful system, so there's a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get right into it. And you can see my beautiful little OBS system right there. Normally I try to cut that part out or edit it out, but yeah, I don't really have that much time to do all that. So let's take a look at what's going on right now with, this system. It's really powerful. So this is the NAM, the North American model, and this just goes out far enough and kind of gives me the resolution to kind of give you a good overview of this system. I'm not going to get too much into the deep details of this because I don't really have enough time, but we are going to talk about what's happening. So notice you got this snow, heavy snow over the four corners. You see that low really starting to form or strengthen, I should say. And in the warm core of this system, tonight into tomorrow morning, you've got severe storms forming. On the cold side of this system, not only do you have a little bit of ice and wintry mix there in northern Illinois, you've got some heavy snow on the backside of this. And that's going to produce a pretty decent swath of 4 to 8 inches, maybe a little more in some spots, from the four corners into the Midwest. And so we're going to keep watching this, and notice you get this powerful line of storms. This severe weather threat goes all the way from the Gulf Coast into the Great Lakes by Thursday. So that's a pretty big storm system. So this line of storms is going to be really powerful. You're going to have all modes of severe weather, or all types, I should say. I feel like the word modes is kind of, doesn't always kind of give you the real idea. You could see hail. You could see damaging winds. You could see flash flooding. And very importantly, you could see tornadoes. And some of them might be happening at night. And the reason why I'm mentioning that specifically is that tornadoes that happen at night are twice as deadly as ones that happen during the day because you're asleep, you're not really paying attention. And there's a whole host of different reasons why that's the case, but you need to be prepared for this severe weather threat. So you see this line of storms forming. This is throughout the day, Thursday into Thursday evening. And then things start to just become plain old rain. And, the flash flooding threat going to extend into Friday. You're looking at 1 to 2 inches with this. And notice you do have a little bit of wintry weather also with this system into the northeast. The major cities, Boston, Philly, New York, down through DC, you haven't seen a lot of snow this year, or this winter season, I should say. And you're not going to see much with this one. But interior northeast, you are going to get some snow, some ice, and some not so fun stuff. And then here in Savannah, which is where I'm at, we are going to get some showers on Friday during the day, but nothing too big. So, that's just kind of an overview. Let's take a quick look at these winter weather advisories, these winter storm warnings that stretch all the way from the four corners into, basically southern Michigan into Wisconsin, or I should say, excuse me, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. Michigan, you do still have some winter weather advisories and even a blizzard warning, but that's a system that's kicking out today. So that's not from this powerful low that's giving us this kind of swath of winter weather. Now, winter weather, definitely something to pay attention to. This is going to have some impacts for driving, that sort of thing. But the severe weather threat with this is what I'm most concerned about. And, we looked at the timeline with this. This is starting up tonight, so Wednesday afternoon, evening, into the overnight, and then throughout the day Thursday. So just remember, we walked through that line, and as that line continues to push east, it's going to produce severe weather pretty much the whole time. And that's why we're so concerned. And we have seen the Storm Prediction Center increase the risk level to an enhanced risk, and that's level 3 out of 5. And if you have any sort of risk level, you need to be weather aware. That means you could have a severe storm. It only takes one storm to really cause some big issues where you're at. But, this includes this enhanced risk. That's where the severe weather threat is most likely. You could see a few tornadoes. Some could be strong. You have 2 or above. You could see some big hail, 2 inches or more. That can total your car if it's big enough. And damaging winds, it doesn't matter which way the wind is blowing. If it's blowing fast enough, it could damage your home pretty severely. So, areas that are in this enhanced risk include Little Rock, it includes Greenville, Mississippi, Oxford, Memphis, and then all the way up to Waverly in Tennessee. So it includes a good chunk of West Tennessee. And Waverly, if you guys remember, was hit by a pretty bad flood a couple years ago. So, those folks especially are, on alert. And there is a flash flood threat with the system. It could dump 1 to 2 inches. It wouldn't be like what happened with that severe flooding, a couple years ago, but you could still see some flash flooding in that area in addition to hail and isolated tornadoes. So this is for Wednesday into Wednesday night through about 6 a.m. Thursday, and then you see that threat shift to the east, and I'll show you that in a second. But I wanted to show you the hatched area for tornadoes. That means there's a 10% risk of a strong tornado within 25 miles of any spot in that hatched area. So that includes Memphis, that includes Oxford, Pine Bluff, Greenville. So just a heads up, if you're in that spot, you need to have your tornado precautions ready, your plan. You go to the lowest level of your home, and you want to make sure you have as many, walls between you and the outside as possible. So in an interior closet, an interior bathroom. If you have a basement, that's going to be your best bet. But I know not everyone has a basement, especially in the South. So just a heads up. And then you see this tan area, that's a 5% risk into Waverly, Hot Springs, Arkansas, all the way into, East Texas, Sherman included in this, Southeast Oklahoma, just southeast of Oklahoma City. And then that 2% risk, which means you could still see an isolated tornado in that area in the green. That includes a good chunk of, Louisiana. It includes, all the way up into Paducah, Kentucky. So that's the risk for tornadoes. And you can see the wind outlook is really similar. Winds could gust, upwards of 60, even 70 miles an hour with some of these storms. And then hail. And it looks like the biggest hail threat's actually kind of on the line of Oklahoma and Texas. But, don't sleep on hail. I know it may not be the thing we always talk about the most, but it can really cause some big issues. So I mentioned that this system, which we can go back and look at this again, kind of the timing. So you really start to see things getting going around 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. This is around midnight tonight. And then this is the early morning hours. And this is when you really see that tornado threat too. Nocturnal tornadoes. You need to have your alerts turn on loud enough to wake you up, just in case. Please be safe. I'm especially looking at you folks kind of in the Arklatex region, up through West Tennessee, even into Western Kentucky. And then into tomorrow, that's 9 a.m., you still see this line pushing through. And it looks like it's going to be pushing through Tennessee, through Mississippi, into Alabama through the day into tomorrow. So let's talk about the risk level for tomorrow. This is the Storm Prediction Center. And you can see that the enhanced risk goes from Jackson, Mississippi, up through Birmingham, Alabama. This includes Nashville, heads up Nashville, Bowling Green, Louisville, all the way up into Columbus, Ohio. And then you got that slight risk extending as far as just south of Buffalo, even Buffalo could see a severe storm tomorrow. So from the Gulf Coast up through the Great Lakes, basically. That's a huge risk area, especially for this time of year. It's still just February. This is not typically what you would see. You do often get severe weather in the South this time of year, but to see an enhanced risk and a slight risk extend that far north, you need to be alert in areas where you would typically be thinking about winter weather this time of year. So let's take a closer look at the tornado risk, the hatched area where you've got a 10% possibility of a strong tornado within 25 miles. That kind of includes that area sort of from Jackson into Birmingham, which has been hit multiple times this winter season. And then you've got the 5% risk in areas like Nashville, Bowling Green. Those two spots, I live in Nashville, so I'm really attuned to the weather there, of course, but, we've had some really bad tornadoes. And I know a lot of folks can get kind of scared. Just have your plan in place. And this is going to be happening in the morning and during the daytime hours for you folks. So please make sure you have your plan. Get ready to take shelter, lowest level of your home, interior space, cover your head. I met a family who actually went into their interior hallway and shut all the doors and covered their heads and managed to survive the March 2020 tornado that way. So, folks who live in that area, you know what I'm talking about. But, all these spots have seen tornadoes. It's going to be possible. Not a guarantee, but certainly a big possibility. So please just stay alert and just remember, even a weak tornado can cause a lot of problems if you're not in the right spot, if you're not in a safe space. Have a way to get warnings on your phone. A weather radio is a great thing to have if you don't have one. Just pay attention to the forecast tomorrow and, keep the TV on, keep the radio on, and just stay alert. That's all you got to do. So that way you can take those precautions and make sure you have shoes on. That's the most important thing. Have your shoes nearby, especially overnight tonight and to tomorrow. That's the number one thing that people need to know. You don't want to have to walk on debris, on glass, if you happen to end up in a tornado. So having shoes makes a world of difference. So please have your shoes with you. And then you can see that wind chance. 30% is a pretty big deal. And this extends, from that kind of corridor into Mississippi and Alabama, where you tend to see a lot of stuff, all the way up into Columbus, Ohio. And this includes Louisville, Kentucky. It's kind of like corridor right here, Bowling Green into Nashville. So just a heads up there. And hail is, not as big of a deal, but that 15% still a pretty big deal. And 5% hail, once again, you don't want to sleep on it. Can cause some pretty big issues. And then here's a quick look at the winter storm. You can see some big impacts with this, some really gusty winds, some blizzard conditions, whiteout conditions, and the stretches from southeast Colorado up through portions of Kansas, South Nebraska, Iowa. Looks like a good chunk of Iowa is going to be included in that, including Des Moines, northern Missouri, northern Illinois, probably around the Chicago area. You're going to get some of this all the way up into Michigan. Looks like Grand Rapids, also southeast Wisconsin. So just a heads up, the Winter Storm Severity Index is a really good thing to look at. And this is really going to go through, all through Thursday, even into possibly portions of Friday. But, that severe weather outlook is my biggest concern, guys, just because you don't typically see this time of year, but we've got it tonight. So really things get going tonight into tomorrow. And as that line shifts east, that's when you have that risk. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I know this is kind of a little bit of a lo-fi video, even by my standards, which aren't that high to begin with. But, I felt like I needed to do a quick little video, even though I am quite busy right now. It's a really happy time for me, but in the meantime, I am going to be thinking about folks who, I'm going to be praying for everybody's safety, because this is a pretty big severe weather threat. And sometimes you get busts where it's not as bad as we think it's going to be, and I'm hoping for that, but just in case it's not, I hope this helps you get prepared. Have a way to wake up in the middle of the night, especially, if you're in that risk area. A lot of this is happening in the dark. Tornadoes in the dark are so hard, because, spotters don't always see them because they're not awake. A lot of folks are asleep, not paying attention to warnings. And that is such a dangerous combination. Have your shoes handy or, close by or in your safe space. That's a good spot, Just make sure that you have that for your family, and just have a quick little plan. Talk to your kids about it. Make sure that you're ready. We did that as kids. I grew up here in Savannah. We always had a severe weather plan that we talked about every couple of months. And we also had a fire plan and all that sort of stuff. We even talked about earthquakes. So, it doesn't hurt to talk to your kids about this kind of stuff. It's good. And, just have your shoes all in your safe spot. Put them on when there's a warning. We tell people to put helmets on too. That can help. Your kids' bike helmets. Put that in your safe spot. And, just make sure that they know where to go. So please stay safe tonight into tomorrow. And, for you folks dealing with the winter weather, good luck. I know, a lot of spots haven't seen as much as they normally would this time of year. And then some spots are just seeing so much. So everyone, please stay safe, be well, and I will see you again next week. Bye, guys.